The Awakening of the Consciousness by Master Michael. Dedication. I dedicate this book to the brothers and sisters of planet Earth who wish to awaken and fight sincerely with all their strength to achieve it. Presentation. Following, we present the book The Awakening of the Consciousness by Master Michael, through which we shall receive new spiritual and psychological impulses in order to awaken. A book that is clear, experiential, and above all, practical. Such is the Sun. He comes out for all creatures that have life on the face of the earth. From our relative position, we say that he comes out, that he rises. But he is. He always exists. He has sent us his divine spark in his Bodhisattva to planet Earth at this time, for he is the most valuable awakener, a true treasure of light. These are spiritual, non-physical jewels that make us guiding beacons in order to achieve our goal of awakening the consciousness so that we may be, to unite the soul with the being through the consciousness. If it sleeps though, how could we do it? When the sun dawns, it awakens us with its light, its warmth, and the sound of nature in which everything rises to worship the King who comes to give life and abundance. Minerals dilate by relaxing their elemental bodies. Vegetation changes its respiration, making it similar to man's. Animals salute their life-giver. The birds sing, the rooster sings, the monkeys applaud, because they know inside that he is the one who gives them life and life in abundance. Man, the inhabitant of this world, has the possibility to choose, but this possibility, or freedom, has the power to liberate or enslave him. He can receive the sun in order to awaken and be filled with optimism, faith, and harmony, or remain asleep in his thoughts and mental labyrinths, suffering without knowing it. This book comes at this time like the sun that illuminates and awakens us so that we can realize who we are, what we are doing, where we are, and especially where we are going. I invite all students of the universal Gnosticism that is now developing on planet Earth to venture into these words that are ordered in a masterly way and have left their energetic mark in their own writing. As we read this book, we shall feel the light of the sun, the heat that the earth accumulates from him, and the sound of the divine word in our hearts. While reading the book, we discovered new surprises in a personal way, new methods that, being as old as time, are recycled so that we are able to exercise the mastery of the consciousness over the I. This book is charged with solar energies, very refined and easily assimilated by all sincere walkers who want to keep on awakening in all areas of their existence. This is not theoretical. It is a testimony of the magic that happens to us when we read this book for the first time. A magic that permits us to penetrate into the internal worlds and see through the solar light the great realities that exist inside and outside of ourselves. I urge all readers, unconcerned with the ego, without mental complications, and with a constant carpe diem, to receive these words in their consciousness, so that the miracle of awakening can take place. The Son has, among his many spiritual objectives, that of awakening. One can only wake up after a dream, after the psychological death. That's why the teachings of the Son regarding awakening have had their epicenter in Russia, where mechanicity made a marvelous contrast against them, permitting us to realize that we have to awaken. Accompanied by the Son, we capture the teachings of the awakening in those times of the Tsars, where the knowledge and practice of the techniques of the awakening were expressed to the utmost, whose fruits we are now seeing, since it would otherwise have been impossible for us to realize where we are going. So, the Son has once again guided us along the path of the razor's edge to see the plan in its entirety. Gnosis is a very natural functionalism of the consciousness, but it is the awakened consciousness that makes us live this functionalism. Glory to the children of the Sun. Glory to the solar gods. O you solar logos, awaken in my being all those ineffable substances that are as much a part of thee as of me. We are infinitely thankful to the Master Michael, the Son, for accompanying the people of God, for fulfilling his exact, precise, and loving mission in order to cover us with his mantle of light and permit us to comprehend the mysteries of awakening. To God, by Master Galeno, 11th of December 2016, Monastery, Samael, Rome. Prologue. Jesus said, I stood in the midst of the world, and incarnate, I appeared to them. I found them all drunk. I found none thirsty. And my soul was grieved for the children of men, for they are blind in their hearts and do not see that empty they came to the world, and empty they are destined to come forth from the world. Now they are drunk, but when they shake off their wine, then they will repent. Gospel of Thomas. In one of the Gospels, found in Nag Hammadi, the great master, Joshua ben Pandira, uses the word drunk to refer to human beings whose consciousness sleeps. It is becoming each time easier to sleep psychologically. We have to make super efforts in order to get out of the state of drunkenness. The accelerated pace of life, the bombardment of the media and technology, the psychological heaviness of the planet's atmosphere make it very difficult to stop and reflect. And reflection is fundamental for awakening. It is as if there is a cloud around each person's head, which envelops and accompanies everyone wherever he goes. Thus is fulfilled the saying, each head is a world. The sleep of the consciousness causes us to live deceived, as to ourselves and as to others. When someone is physically asleep, he is subjected to his own fantasies and believes them to be real. He perceives nothing of what is happening around him. He is helpless, vulnerable to the events and actions of others. The same thing happens regarding the psychological aspect. We do not realize what happens to us in reality, nor the times in which we live. Many problems in human relations could be avoided if we were to awaken. An awakened person can assess the consequences of his actions and the benefits or harm they will cause him. He can make correct decisions. An awakened person realizes how his words and actions will influence others, for better or for worse. He can avoid generating more karma. He realizes what he feels, what others need, what they can do, what harms them. He can help them with conscious love. The person who is awake sees what others do not, and that's why he is misunderstood. Sometimes being awake is hard and painful, but it is 1,000 times more preferable than to continue to sleep. Intuition is a faculty that is very closely related to awakening. Awakening gives the initiate the talent to advance on his path and to pass unnoticed without clashing with anyone, but without letting himself be diverted either. One thing is death, another is initiation, and another is awakening. Quote by Master Lakshmi. These are three independent aspects that should be developed together. No doubt, one can advance in regards to psychological depth and initiation, but this does not mean he is awakening. We are not tired of repeating that if there is something which characterizes the language which the Master Michael uses is its simplicity and depth, and this is how he presents the keys he gives us here, in words that are very easy to comprehend, but with a transcendental value for the consciousness. We give testimony that so far this has been the book that has required the most effort, perhaps because this is how awakening is. L.O. Instructions for reading this book. I have met many people who have told me that they cannot read a book in an orderly way, from beginning to end, but prefer to open the book and read what interests them, or to read in an alternating way where they randomly open it the moment they feel like reading and read it by parts. I want to tell our dear readers that in the case of this book, this method does not work, because one of the most powerful things about it is the sequence in which the concepts, ideas, and chapters appear. I can assure you that this sequence is not something coming from the human part of this writer. Indeed, it was an internal inspiration that made possible to capture in a magical way the sequence of ideas, concepts, and teachings. It is for these reasons that I allow myself to recommend to the people who would like this book to give them an objective result in the practices it contains, to read it in an orderly way, respecting the sequence of the chapters that appear in it. Now that you have been forewarned, dear reader, you can place yourself in self-remembering and start reading the book. Master Michael. Important note: these instructions are valid only for those who wish to gain results from the reading of this book. Introduction. Today, 1st of December 2016, at the Gnostic Monastery Ion 13, at the foot of Mount Olympus in Greece, I am preparing to write this book about the knowledge related to the awakening of the consciousness that the guiding masters and instructors of humanity have delivered in this fifth root race of the planet Earth, the Aryan race. After writing 3 books on each of the 3 factors of the revolution of consciousness: mystical death, a second birth, and sacrifice for others, we received the internal direction of writing this book on the awakening of the consciousness, in order to arrange and synthesize this knowledge in a clear, practical, and simple way. It should be made clear that all the teachings that were to be given at the end of this race regarding the secret doctrine have already been delivered by the messenger of the Venerable White Lodge for this epoch, the Master Samael Enveor, who, as the avatar of the Age of Aquarius, delivered the whole message that was to be delivered. The message of the Master Samael is very clear and forceful, and is recognized by all authentic masters of the White Lodge as the valid message in this age. Then came the restorer of the Gnostic institutions, the Master Lakshmi Diamond, who fulfilled the same mission as Paul of Tarsus, Master Hilarion, did in the time of Jesus. He confirmed, clarified, complemented, and promoted the message of the Avatar, assuring that Gnosis remains an esoteric initiatic school. As we explained above, there will be no new teachings from now on until the end of this race. The purpose of the previous books I have written, of this book, and of the books I am going to write in the future is to arrange and synthesize the teachings of the secret doctrine that have been delivered by our guiding masters of humanity in a clear, simple, effective, and practical way, so that these teachings give fruit. For us, it is a real challenge to give expression to these works, since we are not going to transcribe all the teachings that have already been delivered by the masters that preceded us, since for that we already have their books, but we will contribute our understanding, which we acquired through the practice of them. It is our hope that this work fecundates the consciousness of the initiates of planet Earth, so that they can continue the inner path with enthusiasm, with joy, with strength, with will, and with love for the great cause, experiencing a living Gnosis in such a way that these teachings give fruit and do not remain as pretty words only. The Master Samael says that in the times of the end of this race, as in all previous races, a phenomenon will take place which he calls the harvest of the sun. For a harvest to be produced, it is necessary to have fruits, and in order to have fruits, each farmer must take care of his garden, of his orchard, his crops, selecting the seeds, removing the weeds and the wild herbs, watering his seeds, his plants, and his crops with the living water of life, until the growth of these fruits that bring about the harvest comes to a successful conclusion. In order for a person to participate in the plans of the Venerable White Lodge in these times and to have the right to be a fruit of this harvest, it is necessary to be very sincere with oneself and with the doctrine, and among other things, two fundamentals are necessary: awakening and death. Obviously, we are talking about the awakening of the consciousness and psychological death. It would make no sense for a person to be taken to a safe and secret place to continue his spiritual work if this person is not truly determined to awaken and die in the ego. For if it were not so, that person would suffer tremendously, in the sense that the ego and his psychological defect would be submitted to psychological and esoteric conditions that he would not be able to endure. It would be similar to bringing a demon to paradise. The Venerable Masters of the White Lodge at this time are not asking for initiation or initiatory requirements for a person to qualify for an exodus, but they do require the person to be sincere, to be living the teachings, to be determined, and to fulfill the first commandment of the law of God, that is, to love God above all things and your neighbor as yourself. It does not matter at what initiatic level the person is, but that at the point he is at the degree he is at, he is performing the spiritual work well, correctly, and with great sincerity. If we want to participate in the divine plans, we cannot sell our birthrights for a plate of lentils. That is why we urgently need to awaken our consciousness, so that this consciousness awakened gives us the light we need in order to see our own path. These are the reasons for which this book is launched to the battlefield. A harvest is coming, the harvest of the sun, and the sun himself is coming in search of it, to battle, brothers, to the conquest of light and Aquarius. Master Michael.